I don't know, man. I feel like it's been too long at this point. Like, my Final Fantasy 1 video came out over a year ago.
Dude, that's exactly why you gotta do it. How long have people been waiting for this?
But the game is so bad, too. Like, I don't want to play it.
Dean, come on. Come on. Are you gonna beat Final Fantasy 2? Or are you gonna let Final Fantasy 2 beat you?
You're right.
Hey, what's up, gentlemen and ladies? Welcome to the biggest pile of chocobo crap this side of Palamisha. Now, despite Square not having much hope in Final Fantasy, it actually turned out to be a huge success. Even Western audiences ended up loving the game, and despite it originally being meant to be Hironobu Sakaguchi's final game, the numbers couldn't lie, and the company decided to greenlight a sequel with much of the same staff. Sakaguchi remained the lead writer, Nasir was still the head programmer, Yoshitaka Amano was on the art, Nobuo Uematsu on music. Basically everyone from Final Fantasy ended up coming back from Final Fantasy II, and things were looking very promising. Fans couldn't wait to see what was next from the beloved RPG franchise, and it sucks. It sucks so bad. I'm not really sure exactly what went wrong with this game, but it really seemed like every good choice that they made in Final Fantasy 1 was purposely thrown in the trash and replaced with a worse one. Now, they made the deliberate choice to make this game follow a completely separate story in a separate universe from the original game, since they wanted to make a second Final Fantasy game, not Final Fantasy 2. Does that make any sense? And while I can respect them trying to reinvent the wheel with this game, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, man. I appreciate them experimenting instead of just repeating the formula that succeeded in the original, but boy, does that really not pay off sometimes. But anyways, enough of that. Let's actually pop this game in and see why fans and critics alike always say that this game is such a mess.
Wait, Deanie boy!
Planner walk? Nick, what are you doing? I'm trying to play Final Fantasy II on my Super Nintendo.
That's not Final Fantasy II.
What do you mean it's not? It very clearly says Final Fantasy II right on the label.
This is Final Fantasy II. You see, even though Final Fantasy was a pretty big success in the West, it didn't actually come to the US until 1990. By then, Japan already had Final Fantasy II and III on the original Famicom.
The original Famicom? But this is SNES. Wouldn't that have been Super Famicom?
That's the thing. Eventually, Square started to work on Final Fantasy IV for the Super Famicom, which they also wanted to release in the US. But they hadn't released Final Fantasy II and III in the US. So, to avoid confusion, they decided to rename Final Fantasy IV to Final Fantasy II in the US. Genius!
Wait, but wouldn't that just make things even more confusing?
Yeah, it kind of did when Final Fantasy VII released.
So, the game that I'm holding right now, despite what the label says, is actually Final Fantasy IV, and the real Final Fantasy II never came out in English on the NES?
There was a prototype English version planned, but the translation was very rough since it was never finalized. Can you imagine in a game somebody saying, "This guy are sick"?
Okay.
Anywho, I gotta get back to chasing Kiwis or whatever it is the scriptwriter thinks that we do in New Zealand. Jeez, I don't know. I love this game.
Bye. Okay, I guess I can give this translation a shot. How bad can it be, right? In a world so far beyond the horizon, the everlasting peace was about to come to the end. The Emperor of Palakia began to conquer the world with monsters he summoned. 4 young from Finn lost their families, and now trying to escape from the enemy's obstinate pursuers. I regret every choice in my life that led to me being right here playing this game right now. Right off the bat, the game sets up the perfect tone for how utterly difficult it's going to be by starting you off with no context in an unbeatable fight where all 4 of your party members die. You got Furion, our protagonist that looks like a slightly changed version of the fighter class from FF1. Similarly, Guy, who looks almost identical to the thief and is supposed to be the strong but intellectually challenged one. Leon, who's supposed to be the dark, broody edgelord type, and his sister Maria. I've just met a girl named Maria, and suddenly that name will never be the same to me. Maria, I've just met a girl named Maria, and suddenly I found how wonderful a sound can be. Maria, say it loud and this music playing. Say it soft and it's almost like praying. Maria, I'll never stop saying Maria. Yes, guys, no, not you guys. Maria is not only the best FF2 character, but I'm willing to go as far as to say the best Final Fantasy character of all time. She's got everything, the sweet smile, the purple hair, I mean, she uses a bow. What else can you ask for? Sadly, Maria's sheer awesomeness is not enough to take on all 4 Dark Knights that attacked us, but it is worth noting that she was the last one to fall out of the entire party, so credit where credit is due. We wake up at this town called Altia, where we're greeted by Princess Hilda and her royal mage Mingwu, who are really worried about the warship Empire is making in some place called Bafsuk. Yeah, get ready for crappy name translations and poor grammar. That is the entirety of this game. I mean, when we first saw Maria, the very first thing that she said to us was, sob, sob. Meanwhile, Guy is more of the quiet type, and Leon, well, where is Leon, actually? I guess we must have lost him at some point after the battle. Oh well, I mean, I'm sure that he's not up to anything important that'll come up later. Firion goes up to Hilda and demands that they let us join the rebellions. That's the name of the group, the rebellions, not just the rebellion. I guess maybe we're like a conglomerate of multiple rebellions, but all still fighting towards the same goal. Who cares? And this is where we're introduced to the dreaded password system. Now, while it's cool in concept, having a bunch of keywords that you can learn from different NPCs and saying them to different people, causing them to say different things, in practice, it's total garbage. You'll go up to one person that you need to talk to and be like, elephants, nothing. Crumpet, nothing. Piano keys, blue moon, platinum, dopey, the hula, Russian mafia grandma, memories of my awkward 7th grade dance, the menorah, cow piss.
Ah yes, cow piss.
Finally, what do you have to tell me about it?
Well, you see, some legends say cow piss is yellow.
Anyways, you talk to everyone in the castle, and long story short, the Empire invaded your hometown of Finn, and some people managed to escape here to Altia. Among them was the king, who sadly got wounded by an arrow, so his daughter, Princess Hilda, is taking over his duties while he recovers. I gotta say, this definitely made Altia a more interesting place than it would have been otherwise. I mean, it's not every day that you get to see a ninja that goes by Mr. Paul running around the town square bragging to everyone about sneaking into the Empire safe. So at this point, you can go to the overworld and start fighting enemies, and this is probably the single worst part of the game, the combat. Now, at first glance, you might think that it looks just like a copy-paste version of Final Fantasy I's combat, and while they are very similar, it's what's underneath the combat that really breaks FF2. I'm talking stats, abilities, and namely the leveling system. Now, FF2 did this actually pretty cool thing where any character can do pretty much anything, learn any spell, use any piece of armor or weapon type, but this comes with a caveat. Everything that you want a character to use must be learned. Okay, and that doesn't seem too bad, right? I mean, if you want them to be good with swords, have them use swords. If you want to raise their MP, then cast a bunch of magic spells. But then there's some stats that are just broken and simply don't work. Or how about the fact that if you don't use a stat that you're proficient in, then it can actually go down after a battle. Or let's just say that you want to raise their HP, for example. The only way to do so is to take damage. And of course, since early on your party is the strongest thing that you will run into on a battle screen and you don't want to risk losing, the actual best and recommended way to level up is by constantly hitting yourself. Oh yes, you heard that right. hitting yourself over and over again for hours on end. And if you thought to yourself like, oh, that's not that bad, I'll just hit myself a bunch, level up, rinse and repeat, well, think again. This only takes effect at the end of battle, so if you heal up before the fight finishes, none of those hits will be taken into consideration. And if you accidentally hit yourself just a bit too hard and pass out, then none of that counts either. God, I hate this game. Anyways, after all of that, Guy took quite the beating, so I'm gonna go ahead and cure him while I can. Wait, did I just accidentally give Guy the cure spell? You know what? Screw it. I'm gonna go all in. Not only is Guy gonna have the cure spell, but he's actually gonna have every spell because I'm gonna make him the mage of the party. That's right. What, did you think that Maria was gonna be the mage? Hello? It's 2019 and these gender RPG class stereotypes will not stand. Guy is gonna be my mage, and you know what? Maria's gonna be the tank. That's right, she's gonna hit with her bare fists and hit hard. She's gonna tank through all of the toughest enemies since she will have the most HP out of the party. And none of this staying in the back and using ranged weapons like Bo's business. She's gonna stay at the front of the party because that's where she belongs. This ain't no damsel in distress, this is Maria from FF2, baby! So walking around the town, you'll eventually find this guy named Gordon, who's the prince of a separate city called Cashion, the money type evolution, but apparently he's kind of been outcast as a coward, or at least he seems to think so, because he ran away while his brother Scott fell during a battle against the Empire. He's even too embarrassed to go talk to Hilda about it, poor dude. So I ended up exploring the overworld a bit, being very careful to not accidentally walk 2 feet in the wrong direction because you could end up fighting endgame level enemies that would all one-shot you, saw a drunk airship driver above us one too many times, and just like that, I reached the town of Gothia. Nobody really says anything too useful, just the same stuff about the warship the Empire is making being scary and how Finn got invaded and everyone escaped, except apparently this one bar owner for some reason. I decided to go check out Finn for myself, and sure enough, it's full of soldiers that surprisingly don't really attack us when they see us. What's up with that, guys? I'm gonna die, aren't I? When was my last save? Never? And sure enough, got wiped out in one shot each and had to restart the game. Oh, come on, I was in a town, he was an NPC, how the hell was I supposed to know that he would kill me like that? Anyways, I redid everything and made my way back to Finn, this time making sure that I actually saved, and I was able to track down that bartender that the one guy in Gothia told me about. He showed me a secret bunker before literally disappearing on the spot, and it turns out that there was a wounded soldier down there. But not just any wounded soldier, Prince Scott from Cashion, Gordon's brother that he told us about back in Finn. He tells us to do a few things. First of all, make sure that Gordon is less of a little baby all the time. Wah, my brother died and my town got invaded, destroying pretty much everything and anyone I ever loved. Man the hell up, Gordon, jeez. Second, he tells us to tell the King of Finn an excuse as to why they lost. Yeah, buddy, thanks, but no thanks. You were beat fair and square. Don't try to make up reasons as to why the Empire kicked your ass. Third, he wants us to tell Hilda that he loves her, except not, except he does, but he also doesn't. Make up your mind, man. Do you love Hilda or not? And finally, he gives us a ring that we need to progress the story right before he dies and also just disappears midair as well. Wait, so does that mean that when the bartender disappeared earlier, he also died? Oh man, poor dude, he didn't do anything wrong. He was just trying to have a good time getting drunk with the Empire. Anyways, I guess in the end, Firion chose to show Hilda the ring, but not tell her that Scott loved her. It's probably honestly for the best since he's dead now and wanted her to move on to other people. She says that the reason the Empire beat us is because they had weapons made out of silver, which us puny rebellions know not much of. Apparently, she ordered some guy in the city of Salaman named Joseph to investigate on the matter, but homeboy seems to be slacking on the job, so we teamed up with Mingwu to pay him a little visit, fully armored, weapons in hand, just in case he needs a little motivation next time to actually do what we tell him to do. So after paying some shady pirates to boat us over, we finally made it to, not Salaman, but Poft. Here we meet the airship driver from earlier, a guy named Sid, where else but getting hammered at the bar, demanding that we give him 200 gold to fly us over to Salaman. Yeah, I think I'll walk, buddy, especially after seeing how much you stumble around while flying that thing. I'd need 300 gold just for the damn insurance. So after the long hike up to Salamand and Maria getting poisoned, causing this ear-bleeding screech noise to happen every time I walk, So much for being the tank of the party. We finally made it to Salamand where we find Joseph, but he's not really willing to cooperate with us. Something about his daughter and a bunch of other people from the town being held hostage by some Imperial named Borgin on a cave behind these falls. I honestly didn't pay much attention, couldn't care less. Luckily, we could very conveniently get into said falls thanks to a canoe that Mingwu just happened to be carrying. I do not claim to know the secrets of your people, Mr. Asian sounding name but Arab looking outfit Mingwu, but if one of your magic spells as the Royal Mage involves you fitting an entire goddamn canoe in your pocket, then I won't question it. I ain't complaining, buddy. And this, gentlemen and ladies, is the very first of many Final Fantasy II dungeons. I swear half of this game is just going around dungeon after dungeon, and every single one of them is pure agony. Not only do they have numerous paths that lead to dead ends, but every time that you reach a door, you'll be presented with not one, but usually 4 or 5 choices with absolutely no clue on which one is the right one. One of them is the path forward, and the other 4 or so lead to empty rooms. And you might say, oh, come on, they're just empty rooms. Back out and try another one, but no. Turns out that these, quote, empty rooms aren't so empty after all, as they have an extremely high encounter rate with very tough enemies as a punishment for getting the wrong door. How on earth I was supposed to know what the right door was, God knows, but this is just the tip of the iceberg of the last straw that broke the camel's back. I'm sure that I'm using that phrase correctly. And this game is absolutely unforgiving. Did I mention that you can't rest up at any point in the middle of dungeons? If you're running low on items or magic or whatever, you only have 2 options. Turn back and restart the entire thing, or just die. Anyways, deep into the mines, after an hour or so of suffering from these battles, I managed to find the hostages and what the hell? Holy crap, it's your boy Paul from Altia. Damn, he made it here before us, that son of a bitch. What the hell, Paul? We were supposed to be the heroes rescuing everyone, and the man just up and leaves with everybody. Didn't even need us to come here. So much for wasting our time with this dungeon. Okay, well, we do find some of that legendary silver material in a chest, but I frankly don't think that it was worth that entire trek. Now, this does give us access to some pretty strong silver weapons back in Altia, but they're all too expensive for me to even afford. Now, I know that a lot of people actually say that it's better to simply go bare-fisted with your characters on this game, but if I'm being honest, I didn't really find that to be the case. Not only do weapons give you a damage bonus depending on how strong they are compared to just your fist stat, but you can also equip 2 at the same time and get more proficient with 2 as you fight. And you get to hit with both weapons every turn. If you choose to punch your way through, you won't be able to equip anything on your other hand, and this includes a shield, so your defense also takes a blow. Not to mention that if you're fighting an enemy that just happens to have good defenses against fists, you're out of luck if you made that with all of your party members. Now, while some characters can handle this, Maria, for example, who's so strong that she could suplex a train, and with some like Guy, who's mostly just casting magic, it doesn't really matter, but Furion, for example, I'm giving him a sword and shield. Maybe I was just doing it wrong, but I honestly don't see how having everyone just punch is in any way a viable strategy. So over near Bavsuk, where the Empire's building their warship, I actually managed to find the guy that kidnapped everyone in the mines, Borgin, but it turns out that he's actually kind of a wimp. Everyone working under him says that he should learn how to have some manners and that they can goof off since he's in charge and they know that he won't do anything about it. What the hell, Salamand? This is the guy that almost wiped out half your people? Really makes you question why the Dark Lord that everyone keeps talking about chose him and not someone more competent. Anyways, in an actually pretty cool moment, I used one of the passwords to spot a spy within the town that was actually on the side of the rebellions, and he tells us how to get to the warship. The only thing standing between it and us is, you guessed it, another dungeon. And if you thought that the reward for the last dungeon was bad, wait till you see this. You finish and actually find the Dark Lord at the end, but he just tells you that the warship is finished and runs away. Then Borgin shows up and tries to taunt us. Man, shut up, Borgin, no one even likes you. And then he runs away too. The only thing that we accomplished in this entire mission was witnessing firsthand the villains escaping from Bavsuk on their giant warship. Look at that. Hey idiots, you left your pass on a chest in the cave. Whatever, this will probably come in handy later. This is now the 3rd mission where we go do something, come back and report to Hilda, then go do something and come back and report to Hilda. Although this time apparently the king is in a really bad shape. Despite Mingwu's best efforts, he couldn't fix the quote, mental damage. But despite this, they're all sure to remind us that Sid, the drunk airship guy, still an asshole. Never forget that. And see, this is where I start to take issue with the dumb password system in this game. What you're supposed to do is walk all the way back to Sid halfway across the globe just so that he can tell you the one key word that you need, in this case, Sunblaze, that powers the warship, and then walk all the way back to Altia and ask Hilda and everyone else about the Sunblaze. It is so time consuming. I hate this. This entire game is just fetch quest after fetch quest. Now the king tells us that we gotta go learn a secret chime to open a door to Cashion since Scott decided to be an asshole and lock it up with magic right before he died. Thanks again, Scott. So we trek all the way back to Salaman and talk to Joseph once again since he's the only one that knows where we can find the chime. Supposedly, it's hidden in another mine past the cave of Snowfield that will need his snowship to traverse. Once again, I'm not questioning this, Joseph. You just lead the way, man. What a responsible father, too, leaving his daughter by herself after she just got rescued from being kidnapped thanks to your incompetence. But whatever, let's go to the frickin' snowfield already. And he wasn't kidding when he said snowship either. He literally meant a ship that can traverse snow. I mean, hey, we got airships. Why not snowships too, right? What's next? Sand ships? Lava ships? Give me one of each, please, as long as it's tough enough to handle these goddamn yetis that I keep running into. And so, what is there waiting for us at the end of the snowfield but yet another dungeon? Of course, wouldn't have it any other way. I will say though, this entire dungeon is actually worth the journey, since at the end you find a room filled with giant beavers. I mean, in what world? These guys don't even look like beavers. Lucky for us, Guy of all people can actually understand this giant beaver language. Yes, it turns out that he was actually Canadian all along. Who would have thought? Anyways, they basically just tell us where we can find the chime. Supposedly it's being guarded by a said adamant turtle who, true to its name, is very adamant and takes a while to kill. And who do we run into in the end but Borgen himself, who apparently was cast out by the Emperor and got his whole life ruined thanks to us. Anytime, buddy, anytime. We kick his ass, but then this giant boulder starts falling out of nowhere and is about to crush us all. Then, in one of the most epic moments in this entire game, Joseph jumps out and literally holds the boulder back with his bare fists like a goddamn badass while the rest of us run towards the exit. The last thing that he says is his daughter's name before being crushed underneath its giant weight. Oh my god, I gotta be honest, I don't even know what to say. Like, poor Joseph, man, what a hero. And what's gonna happen to his daughter Nellie now too? This game just went 0 to 100 in like 2 seconds. Luckily, some random woman that came out of nowhere, God knows who, offered to take care of Nellie, so I guess we don't have to worry about that anymore. We head over to Cashion to play the chime in front of the door to open it, and again, seriously, with the whole music to open doors thing, really? Here we go. No. I'm not doing this again. Give me your loot. What? Give me your loot. Thank you. Well, would you look at that? It's our old buddy Gordon the Coward. Looks like he tried to get the torch for the Sunblaze thing before us, but in typical Gordon fashion, failed miserably, so we just let him join us for the time being. You guys know the drill. Long, unfair, stupid dungeon, stupid boss that takes 5 hours to kill, and then we finally get the torch. Let's hope that it doesn't rain on our way back to Altia, because I might just have to stab myself if I did all of that work for nothing. Alright guys, well we finally got out of the dungeon and... What the hell was that? The airship getting chased by the warship? I'm sure it's not anyone that we know. In some totally not related news, let's go back to check on Princess Hilda. Now, lucky for us, we were able to find a way to get there faster, and it's none other than by riding chocobos, baby! Man, do I love this 7-second clip over and over again, and also no random encounters, woo! Alright, Hilda, I know the drill. What's my next mission? Wait, Hilda? She's gone. Where'd she go? The princess was captured by the warship. I just want to play one Nintendo game where I don't have to rescue a stupid princess. Is that so much to ask? And what else would the stupid warship be but another goddamn hour-long dungeon that you can't leave because this game is so stupid, and God, I hate Final Fantasy II. Hilda this is the last time that I'm giving you the keys to the airship. And Sid, you drunken slob, get the hell out of my sight, you two. I got a ship to set on fire. All right, so here's the engine room. You just toss the Sunblaze in and oh God, we're like 5 levels deep and this whole thing's about to blow. We did not think this through very well. The Dark Lord decided to give us a personal visit and... Wait, Leon? No, Maria, you silly. That's not Leon, that's the Dark Lord. You know, the guy that wears a full set of armor, hiding his face and voice so we have no idea what he looks or sounds like. Yeah, the one that appeared like seconds after we lost Leon at the attack from the Empire in our hometown. Yeah, that guy, not Leon, you freaking silly. Somehow we managed to make it back to the entrance of the dungeon within like 3 seconds, and the entire thing blows up into a million pieces, likely killing dozens of innocent guards just doing their jobs and serving their empire. Sorry guys, but war is war. All right, finally back in Altia, everything is back to normal. Screw going to talk to Hilda, I'm checking up on the king first. At least he doesn't get kidnapped on me like her. So he actually gives individual missions to Mingwu, Gordon, and I. He actually leaves Gordon in charge of the rebellions. He tells Mingwu to go to Mysidia and try to get a spell simply called Crystal, although the in-game text would have you believe that it's supposed to be pronounced Extol. And finally, he lets us go to Dice, where there's apparently been a massive massacre and there is only one Dragoon left and we'll need him for some reason. Now don't get me wrong, this is all very useful information, but the man has been on the brink of death for what appears like a few days at this point. How are you still keeping up with all of this foreign news, man? Oh, he died. Jeez, how many main characters are gonna die in this game? Well, you will be missed, King... I'm sorry, what was your name again? Did you even have one? Yeah, look at Gordon over here. He was mourning for a whopping 2 seconds before propping his ass right on the king's throne. Alright, Gordon, you just lie down and give orders like that jerk you are. Some of us have to waste our hard-earned gold to sail over to the next town with these extremely shady-looking people that I am 99% sure are pirates waiting to ambush us. And what do you know? They were pirates waiting to ambush us. Now look, guys. I don't know if you were there for Final Fantasy I to hear the incident about Bick the Pirate, but the last time that a pirate crew tried to attack me, I slaughtered them so bad that the captain decided to give me his ship for free because he didn't have anyone left to work it. Now, I'm deciding to be a little bit merciful today. I'm gonna count to 3, and if by the time that oh my god, Maria already killed all of them. Once again, we embarrassed these pirates so much that their leader decided to give us their ship, in this case it being Captain Layla, or as it's spelled in this horrible translation, Rayla. We have Rayla take us to see the dragon, but when we get there, the only people that we find are this pink-headed boy and his mom. Apparently his dad was one of the dragoons that was killed by the Empire, and the last remaining dragon on the planet is just lying in the room behind them, pretty much on the brink of death any second now. Lucky for us, there's a pendant that lets us understand and talk to dragons. Unlucky for us, it's at the end of another goddamn dungeon. You guys know the drill, hell and suffering, enemies that take hours to kill, yada yada, we get the pendant and go back. Turns out that what the last dragon wanted was to give us one of their eggs so that another dragon could be born in the future. I don't know why you needed us to talk with you in order to give us the egg, but whatever, I don't even care at this point. At least now I have the egg and just need to wait for it to hatch, which apparently is only gonna happen if I soak it in the Spring of Life. Cool, that's all fine and good. Just tell me where I can find the Spring of Life. Oh, you guys know it's coming. Yes, of course! It's at the end of a stupid dungeon, but not just any stupid dungeon. The same old cave that I just went into to get the pendant to talk to the dragon. As a matter of fact, turns out I had already been to the Spring of Life. I just didn't have the stupid dragon egg to dump in there. Who designed this game? May I remind you that if you're running low on HP, MP, or items halfway through doing this dungeon twice in a row, then the only way to get them back is to go all the way back through the dungeon out the entrance, then get to the boat and sail all the way to the nearest town so that you can waste your own money to have to sleep at an inn and then sail all the way back and redo the dungeon up to the point that you were at, basically meaning that you have to do this dungeon 3 times, which I did. So after all of that, I finally got back to the spring, chucked the egg into the water, and got the hell out of there as fast as I could. I just wanted to be done with this part already. Just take me back to Altia. I'll go talk to Hilda if it'll make you happy, game. Anything, just let me be done with this godforsaken dragon part of the game. Okay. I'm calm now. I made it back to town. Let's just see what people have to say. Yeah, I saw it. It's true. Princess Hilda was eating a rat? What the hell? Okay, you know what? I actually think that I don't want to talk to Hilda anymore. Why is it that every single female character in this game has just been absolute trash? Well, with the obvious exception of Maria. She's like best girl. Honestly, she's been able to solve almost every single one of her problems single-handedly. Maria, this one goes out to you. Who better to solve your problems than Maria? Who better to send to strike them goblins down? Who do you send to tank them hits, Maria? Till the very end, she'll always defend the town. Many think that they can woo and sway her, but one little thing that they don't understand: her spirit cannot be tamed, forever her heart inflamed. No greater maid you'll find upon the land. Who better to solve your problems than Maria? I'd put my hopes and dreams all in her hands. Okay, so we go talk to little Miss Rat Eater, and she says she has something to show me, with a little heart emoji right before hopping on the bed and having all our other party members wait outside. What was this game rated again? What? Whoa, what the actual hell is going on here? Come on, Furion. Heart. Well, come on. Heart. Now don't worry guys, nothing weird ended up happening. It actually turns out that this wasn't really Hilda and was in fact a giant Medusa-like monster called the Lamb Queen that, for reasons that are never explained, could shapeshift into looking like Hilda and speak perfectly good, well, okay, semi-good English, at least by the standards of this translation. Like I said, nothing weird at all. Turns out that Hilda got herself kidnapped again, and I mean, come on, woman. This has to be some kind of record, right? How often are they gonna resort to this dumb plot point of the princess being kidnapped? Anyways, she's over in the Palakian arena, apparently being held as the trophy for the winner, so on to rescue her again. Gordon decides to come with us while Rayla stays and helps the people, but like, why can't both of you just come? I mean, I get that this is an NES game and we could only have like 4 party members at a time, but in lore, wouldn't we want as much help as possible, especially headed to the arena? Well, I mean, of course, it's not actually an arena, it's just another stupid long dungeon, because what else would this game do if not that, right? But pretty early on, we actually bump into the Emperor straight up, and he says that if we win the next fight, he will give us the Hilda from Finn. Of course, this turns out to be a lie. We kick his behemoth's ass, but he just has his guards toss us in the dungeon anyways. But guess who? Go ahead and guess who comes in clutch right in the last second to save the day. Yeah, it's your boy, Paul the Ninja, who snuck into the arena and assassinated the guards to help free us. Is he the real MVP or what? Eventually, we found Hilda and Gordon offered to take the prank home. Sadly, though, they leave us behind to finish the rest of the dungeon. Oh, come on, guys, take me with you. You have immunity from random encounters because you're NPCs. Just let me hop on your back real quick. Anyways, after trekking through the long dungeon to rescue Hilda, I make my way back through the desert and all the way back to Altia. I go in, ready to be greeted like heroes, but it turns out that they all left town. Yeah, the rebellions straight up got up and plopped their butts on a camp outside Castle Finn because they want to retake it from the Empire. And apparently, in the 5 minutes that I was gone, they had enough time to build a camp with stone walls, red carpets, and fancy thrones. Either that or the developers didn't feel like making different sprites for these, your choice. Again, Finn's stupid long dungeon. This time around, Rayla joins us pre-dead with 0 HP right from the get-go. I guess I might have forgotten to revive her last time that she was in her party. Man, we're really swapping out these characters faster than Pokemon cards in this playthrough. And in case you guys are getting annoyed of me saying, oh, we go through another stupid long dungeon, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, imagine actually going through every single one of them. This game is pure suffering non-stop. In the end, it all comes down to us and some random Imperial named Gotos, and right after killing him, we get the whole castle to ourselves. Had I known that it would have been this easy, I would have done this ages ago. Seriously, what have you been doing this entire time, Rebellions? So you guys remember earlier when the king gave us all individual missions right before he died? Well, it turns out that Mingwu is still having a tough time trying to get the crystal magic spell over at Mysidia, so we decided to go lend him a hand. Not that I'm surprised, to be honest. It really seems that nobody can get anything done in this game besides us. And just try and see if you can keep track with how long this game is going to drag out this crystal thing, okay? First of all, in order to get the spell, we need to climb up the Tower of Mysidia, which we all know will be a stupid long dungeon, right? But before we can even do that, we have to open the Tower of Mysidia. And how do we do that? Well, you gotta get a special white mask. Now, this white mask can be found in the basement, but unlucky for us, the basement is locked. And in order to unlock the basement, we need another special magic spell called Etsomata. Now, the game doesn't really tell you what you have to do here. You just kind of gotta go around talking to everybody, and eventually, when you run into Paul and ask him about the spell, he'll tell you that you gotta say the magic words on the top right-hand corner of the throne room, which leads you to a stupid long dungeon that has the mask in the end. Now, with this stupid mask, it turns out that we can finally open the basement in the town of Mysidia, but if you thought that we could finally go into the Tower of Mysidia, then you have another thing coming, because we're just getting started. In order to actually open the door, we need to get a crystal rod. Now, this crystal rod is guarded by a magical statue, and the magical statue can be found back in Mysidia town down in the basement, but in order to get it, we need not one, but two masks, yes, a white and a black one. Now, to get this black mask, you have to sail all the way to this small island in the middle of the sea. Yeah, I'm not kidding, that is the only clue that they give you. The world map is like 50% ocean. Good luck finding this tiny island. And once you finally find this tiny island, guess what? It's dungeon time, baby. So you take about an hour or two trying to get through this dungeon if you're lucky and know where you're going, and when you finally finish, you get rewarded with the black mask. Now, after you sail all the way back to the town and go to the statue in the basement, you'll be able to put the white mask on it, but not so much the black mask. It actually turns out that you gotta put the black mask on a doppelganger, since it's supposed to be the opposite of the white mask. And finding this doppelganger is actually pretty easy, all things considered. Just kidding, this is Final Fantasy II we're talking about. Nothing is easy. This game hates the human race. You'll find your doppelganger in the third location in this world map named Mysidia. Yes, the Mysidia Cave, which of course is a stupid long dungeon. After another hour or so of pain and suffering, you'll find your doppelganger and put the black mask on him, but it turns out that you're only actually halfway done with the dungeon and still have another hour to go. After slogging your way through the rest of the cave, you reach the end and see a chest with finally the crystal rod. It's time to head over to the tower, but wouldn't you know it, on your way there, you got swallowed whole by Leviathan. Now, it turns out that there is actually a ship somewhere in Leviathan that we could use to get out, but in order to do so, we have to work our way to its mouth and kill the little monster that's in the way. This means, yes, another stupid long dungeon where we have to crawl through the insides of the sea monster, talking with people that have apparently been trapped here for like 10 years, but seem to be living comfortably here with furniture and books and everything, until you finally run into Ricard, or Edward as he's known in this horrible translation for some reason, who happens to be the last living dragoon and joins our party to get to Leviathan's mouth. Finally, we get to its mouth, kill the monster, and are able to escape safe and sound. And after what feels like an eternity, we're finally able to go to the stupid Mysidia Tower and use the crystal rod, and what's our reward for all of that? Only the hardest dungeon in the entire game, with like 4 mini-bosses, 10 floors, trap rooms everywhere. You know what? No, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired of this f***ing game. Seriously, these boss fights against these giants are such bull crap. I died a few times in the dungeon before realizing that they adhere to basic Pokemon logic of use fire on the ice guy and ice on the fire guy. Apparently Minnie and Toad are supposed to absolutely break these fights, but I couldn't figure out how the hell to get them to work, even after grinding the spells out by, you guessed it, casting it on my own party over and over and over again. And every single time you die, it's back to the start of the dungeon so you can do it all over again. I hope that you brought enough items to heal up, because there is no breaks. It is 10 straight floors of pure agony. And after you get all the way to the top, you'll realize that all of that work was simply to reach yet another locked door. But Mingwu was already up here like, I ain't having none of it, and the man uses his entire magic energy and puts his whole body into this attack that he then shoots straight at the door, causing it to open and killing himself in the process. Rest in peace, Mingwu. You were the only competent party member that I ever had in this entire game. I would know. I've been dragging Edward's dead corpse around with me for the past 4 floors, give or take. Anyways, once you enter the final room, you're rewarded with 5 crystals, 4 of which contain stat boosts for your characters, which would be awesome if they weren't absolutely random. Yeah, you'll end up giving more strength to your mage, more agility to your tank, etc. You gotta love Final Fantasy II, am I right, guys? The 5th orb, on the other hand, contains the dreaded crystal spell that we spent about 6 hours trying to get. 6 hours of my life that, mind you, I will never get back. And as a little cherry on top, as an extra little screw you from the incompetent clowns that made this game, the spell does not work. It's broken. It does not work as intended, and for our purposes in the game, it's essentially 100% useless. I hope you're happy, Gabe. I hope you're happy how you hurt your cause forever. I hope you think you're clever, because I have just about had it up to my nose with this bullcrap. Let's hurry up and finish this already before I explode. Heading back to the starting town of Altia, you'll notice that the entire place has been destroyed, and to that I frankly have to say good. Not a single person there ever thanked me for anything that I did, and anyone that mattered even slightly already moved to Finn, like Hilda, Gordon, and of course Paul the Ninja, who's been standing here blocking the door for at least 2 straight minutes, and god damn it, Paul, I got places to go. Hurry up!
Hello, sir? I need to get through. Hello, sir? Sir, excuse me? Is anyone seeing this? What are you... Hey, man, buddy,
The only reason I didn't burn Paul down with my fire magic spell is because he was kind enough to give me literally all of his gear, including this blood sword that isn't good against normal enemies, but I'll keep it around with me just in case. And what do we need this gear for? Well, it turns out that the thing that destroyed Altia, and as a matter of fact just about every major town that wasn't Finn, is a giant tornado that just happens to be about a mile away from hitting the kingdom that, of course, we need to stop, since apparently this is no ordinary tornado. This tornado is directly being controlled by the Emperor of Palakia. I mean, come on, how bad could this tornado be? Everyone in Finn seems to be fine. They're just chilling, having picnics, going to the opera. Check it out, there's even a dude surfing out there.
Over 110 miles per hour. The storm reached land about 3 hours ago, and what? Wait a minute. There's a person surfing a huge wave out there. Oh. A person was...
So, I mean, we can't just walk to a tornado and jump inside. Okay, well, maybe Maria can, because she can do anything, but the rest of us are gonna need to fly in somehow. If only there was some sort of flying creature that we had on our side, that we just happened to have the exact type of person who knew how to communicate with said creatures, and holy crap, the dragon egg from the cave. Thanks to Edward, we're able to ride the dragon into the tornado, and what awaits us inside but yes, another stupid, long dungeon. Now, frankly, did I expect anything more from this game? No, not really, but a man can dream, okay? So you make it to the end and finally face the Emperor once and for all. Of course, there's a couple fights against some other guys that he sends after you beforehand, but nothing we can't handle. Once we finally make it to the end, you look at the Emperor dead in the eyes and begin the boss. And after all of that, it's actually a really easy fight. While I would love to say that this was some epic climactic showdown, it frankly wasn't. I mean, it was a little annoying that he kept putting my party members to sleep, but other than that, it wasn't too bad, all things considered. We finally get to go home, and Hilda throws a party in my honor, complete with really bad 8-bit dancing and Gordon having one too many beers. But all of this is interrupted when a soldier comes in and tells us that Leon, Maria's brother, who we lost at the beginning of the game, actually became the new emperor, since he was the Dark Lord all along, and oh no, how could I possibly have seen this coming? What a twist! So as you might have guessed, yes, there is still another dungeon left to do in Palakia itself to defeat the Emperor Leon, but sadly we can't reach it by land since it's surrounded by mountains, so we gotta go find some kind of airship. And there's only one man that I know who's stupid enough to lend his airship out to any old idiot who'll just ask for it. Hey Sid, how you been, buddy? Okay, so this is actually pretty sad, all things considered. When the tornado passed over Sid's home in Parm, it injured him so bad that he got paralyzed, and as his final act before passing away, he gives us his airship but makes us promise that we'll return it to him someday. Aw, Sid. There is no airships where you're going, you dead, son! So we fly all the way to Palakia, go through another stupid long dungeon, and finally face Leon, who we have absolutely no sentimental attachment to since I have physically seen or heard from him maybe one time since the literal first 5 seconds of the game. Anyways, we're about to kick his ass when out of nowhere, the real Emperor comes back to life straight from the 9th circle of hell itself. I'm not even kidding you guys, he actually had this whole journey where he died on purpose just so that he could go to the afterlife and come back even stronger than before. He makes fun of Leon for thinking that he could actually be the Emperor of Palakia, and then he tries to kill us, but we couldn't go 5 minutes in this game without another noble sacrifice now, could we? Edward comes out of our party and lets us all get on his dragon to escape, including Leon, while he stays behind and tries to do as much damage to the Emperor as possible before he is inevitably killed by him. I'd say that you'll be missed, Edward, but frankly, you've been dead about half the time that you've been in my party, so nothing really changed all that much. And after all of that, Leon decides to have a change of heart and accept Firian's offer to join us against the Empire, but like, you can't be serious right now, right? This man literally spent 90% of the game actively working against you and was ready to kill all 3 of you about 5 minutes ago, including his own sister, and now because he got betrayed by his crappy boss, suddenly we're just gonna forgive all of that? Okay, you know what? Whatever. At this point, I honestly don't care anymore. We are on the final stretch. Let's go and beat this game already. So Hilda, Gordon, and Rayla tell me that when the Emperor came back to life, a giant castle also emerged from the ground called Pandemonium. How they know this is beyond me, but who cares? But in order to get into it, we have to go through this Jade Passageway in the Mysidia region. So we go, and I don't think that I need to tell you guys what the Jade Passageway is. I'll just say that it's long and stupid. And after reaching the end, we immediately get transported to another one. Okay, no healing, no breaks, no nothing. 2 dungeons, one after another, and the entire place is filled with the same enemies that killed the entire party back at the beginning of the game. I guess it's supposed to be like a look how far you've come moment where the enemies that one-shotted your entire party once are now standard encounters, but guess what? They can still one-shot your entire party! Hours and hours worth of endless pain and suffering later, I finally, and I do mean finally this time, reached the last boss of the game. And you guys remember that blood sword that Paul gave me earlier that I said wasn't too good on normal enemies but that I kept just in case? It kills him in 2 turns. I'm not even kidding. Almost every single encounter in the Pandemonium dungeon was harder than the final boss. Now theoretically you could make it harder for yourself by not using the blood sword, but to be honest with you guys, I'm just glad to be done with this pile of crap. The Emperor screams ooh, bah when you kill him, and then you go to Finn and get thanked by Hilda, Gordon, Paul, Rayla, Nelly, pretty much everyone that mattered who didn't die, which admittedly does cut like half the cast, but still. Actually, scratch that, even the ghost of Joseph comes out to see us. This game is so dumb. And we finish with our party deciding to stay together and keep going on adventures from here on. Roll credits. We did it. And that's Final Fantasy II for you guys. Was it all bad? No. Was it mostly bad? Yeah. It's not hard to see why this was considered the black sheep of the Final Fantasy franchise, and while it did improve on some things from Final Fantasy I, like the story and having more recurring characters, the weird level up system, lazy game design, and ridiculous level of difficulty really killed the game for me and many others. Although if there is one good thing I can say about this game, however, it did give us Best Girl Maria from FF2, baby, so I can't really complain, but that was it. That was the worst of it. We finally got through it, and it should only be uphill from here. I guess let's see where the Final Fantasy franchise takes us next. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this Final Fantasy II video. I know that it took me forever to get this out, but it's finally done, and it is hopefully the worst game that I will ever have to play on my channel. The next video after this should be for the Final Fantasy Legend, which I actually already finished streaming. If you guys want updates on that, you can always follow me on Twitter and Instagram at StuBleonhard. And if you did miss the streams, you can always catch the VODs on my archive channel, youtube.com/WeissArchives. My entire Final Fantasy II playthrough is on there, so if you want to watch the full dozens of hours that it took me to get through this game, then be my guest. Huge shout out to my buddy Chris for helping me out with recording a lot of the skits, Aliasan for his appearance at the beginning, and Planner Walk for making a small cameo, as well as being a mage level Patreon supporter. If you guys enjoyed this video, which I really hope that you did because it took a lot of time and effort, then you should please consider becoming a Patreon supporter. You get a ton of rewards like shout outs, look at behind the scenes stuff like skits and scripts for upcoming videos, blooper and commentary reels, and you get access to exclusive channels on my Discord server. And if you guys are not on my Discord server yet, then you should consider joining. The link is in the description. We have over 200 people that just love talking about Final Fantasy. It's pretty much like a Square Enix meme hellhole, but I love it to death, so it's there too if you guys want to join. But either way, I guess that's all that I have for you guys today. I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to blitz that like button, subscribe, and as always, stay tuned, Kupo.